What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from BackToMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and we're back to talking Oscars. And this week, we're going to talk some auteurs. Best auteur. This is the the director category. So yeah, I'm close to circling back around and going back through the picture category after this, so that'll be next week. So stay tuned for my updated picture lists because things have changed. Films have opened. Films will continue to open. I'll continue to watch them. The category will continue to evolve. All the categories are continuing to evolve. I can't wait to get back to Best Actor and be like, never mind. I did not mean to pick Colin Farrell. I'm so sorry. Oh, God. My unwielding belief that Edward Berger couldn't. I had so much hope. And I was like, everybody's wrong. This movie's gonna be great. It's gonna catch on. It's gonna catch fire. Is nope. So best director is not gonna be Edward Berger this year, but who is gonna get in? Um, so let's build like a top. Let's start with the top two. The two that I feel most confident in, that I would like lock in the most. And I have kind of given some shit to like the other pundits because I think it's really hard to not see. And I did it too, like with Colin Farrell. I fully admit I get it. Like sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees, you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to get past it. But if you're watching these other guys predict Oscars, they're way over projecting one battle after another. And if you look back at some of the other films, like when something comes out that they really like and it's hot and is critically received at the time, suddenly it's dominating all the categories. Like Sinners, right? When Sinners earlier this year was the only thing they had to bite, it was everywhere. When in previous years, same thing with like Barbie and Past Lives. I remember Past Lives was looking like at actor, actress, and supporting actor nominations, and then like slowly over the course, a director, of course. So like they just was kind of peeling away at the nominations as we moved away from Past Lives because it opened in like June. So one battle came out in September. It's October. They're not quite out of the bubble yet, and we haven't really hit the other vibes, right? We haven't gone through Wicked the moment. You know, we haven't really gone through Marty Supreme and the moment of Marty Supreme. There's still some sort of like mid-level contenders. We haven't really seen the international contenders and how that's going to all lay out. So, I mean, people have seen them, but it's really hard to pick like which neon film at this point. Try to rank them in order, you know. So, there's a lot of unknowns, and everybody's just leaning on one battle. But I do fully believe Paul Thomas Anderson is getting this nomination. I think he's coming for the win. I think there's something to the fact that he hasn't won yet, and he is very much an auteur. He's very much well respected. I've heard some people, Jeff Snyder said he wouldn't win because it's not his best work. I think that's unfair. And again, I don't have the ability to like jump in on these conversations with the guys from over at For Your Consideration. But when I heard that, I was like, Martin Scorsese for The Departed? Hello? TheInSnyder.com? um, they don't always win for the film they're supposed to win for. That's a beautiful world to live in, but oftentimes that's not the case. So oftentimes the overdue narrative does play a factor into it. If you think Leonardo DiCaprio's best work in film is The Revenant, truly, okay. But if you know that not to be true, then you know why he got it for The Revenant. Like, you know why Martin Scorsese got it for. Yeah, I mean, like, these things make sense when you understand them. So the fact that Paul Thomas Anderson will win for a film that is good enough and is respected enough and seems to have caught the attention enough, yeah, that makes sense to me. He didn't need to top himself. These people don't win for their number one films. It's very rare. I guess you could say for Spielberg that maybe he did, but that's still debatable. Because of his body of work. You know, it's like the debate about which Spielberg movie is the best is like fisticuffs. So I, he's getting Paul Thomas Anderson's getting in. So will he win? See, PTA is somebody who also really loves championing film. He loves championing other directors. He's not like a recluse who is, you know, his artistic vision, and he like has to close himself indoors and stays away from everybody. No, I mean, I've seen him do other things where he talks about other filmmakers, and I think that helps. I think him and like Guillermo del Toro are both two people who do that openly and praise other people's work and celebrate film in a way that Martin Scorsese does. These are endearing things, the fact that they celebrate the art form that they're in, instead of some other people who just seem to be really focused on themselves and their own art and don't really celebrate the other art that's around them. So I think that helps, the fact that he's going to be well respected within his own community. Um, so who else is getting in? I'm definitely going with Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Every single reaction for Hamnet thus far has been astounding. Do I think they're going to give her 2 Oscars? That she's going to be the first female director to win 2 Oscars? No. I think she's definitely getting in though. We're pretty much in a solid pattern where we seem to get like one female director in each year, which is nice because it diversifies the roster and it starts promoting the idea that females can be auteurs as well. Um, her biggest competition this year are people like Catherine Bigelow, Lynn Ramsey. I just don't think their films are going to get in. I think she is the strongest competitor in terms of a female auteur this year, and the fact that she's already won only helps her case in terms of I'm well respected within my own community. Um, and she took this film, and I think it'll be different enough that it will get in. Plus, Focus, I think their campaign is pretty much limited now to this and Begonia. I don't see Yorgos making a play for an adaptation of another work. I think they loved him when he did something original with like Poor Things. That was, well, mostly original with Poor Things. This is like a direct adaptation of another film, so he's doing that like um you know, foreign language interpretation thing, which can be respected, but also some people roll their eyes at it. They're like, well, wasn't the film good enough in its own language? And for Yorgos being who he is, it would be like if somebody came along and did Dogtooth. He'd be like, well, it wasn't my film fine in its form? Did it need to be remade by insert name here? You know, like, um, it wasn't Save the Green Planet good enough. So yeah, I just don't see him breaking into the race. So I think Chloe Zhao, who's directing an adaptation, just not the same type, will get in. So the next 2 spots, I'm automatically just giving them to Neon, uh, because we definitely do pick international contenders this year, and I don't think we've been doing a pretty good job of getting 1, if not 2, into the category. I don't know where else the other tours are going to come from. Like, Neon has the international race sewn up, like, for many. They're definitely getting 3 of those international spots, if not 4. Uh, it's possible. It's possible that they could lose 1, but they have 4 very strongly reviewed films in entering the international race, coming from international directors. As far as the best director race goes, I'm very much buying into the Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. I think his narrative is strong. I think at this time last year, we had already sort of started moving away from Seed of the Sacred Fig and moving into Emilia Perez. And you were seeing people sort of shifting. The tides were changing because Emilia premiered at Cannes and then it was backed by Netflix. Neon with Seed of the Sacred Fig, it didn't look like it was going to win its international category. So It Was Just an Accident He's risked his life for this. I don't think they're going to snub two Iranian directors back to back like that. I think it's possible he does actually get in this year. And it is, unlike Seed of the Sacred Fig, this one did actually win Palme d'Or. So there's that. Um, I think that changes it a little bit. As far as the other, it gets a little tough because I want to say Park Chan Wook for No Other Choice. That makes sense to me. He's the kind of auteur that I think has influenced directors who are currently working, because Old Boy is old enough that there are people who saw that and who were, just starting out making film school and doing short films, and who are now making features and who have gone on. I mean, we think about like Ryan Coogler's career and about when he started far after Old Boy. I mean, we've fully remade Old Boy. Spike Lee remade Old Boy, and it's been like almost 15 years since he remade Old Boy. So he's an influential director that has never been nominated. And I think people will look at him. But I also think that I feel a little bit better about Sentimental Value and Joachim Trier getting into Best Picture, and that could give him the edge at the end of the day. So, and I don't want to give Neon 3 spots in director right now. So I'm going to hold Park Chan Wook in sort of the 6th place spot and say I'm basically giving Neon 2 spots. And right now I'm leaning on Jafar Panahi and Joachim Trier for It Was Just an Accident and Sentimental Value, respectively, with Park Chan Wook beating out and No Other Choice beating out Secret Agent. I think Secret Agent is in 4th here. I think that's going to be a play for Wagner Moura. I think that's the category that it breaks into. All of these have the ability to be an international and picture and then like another category. But for Secret Agent, I think what it's going to rise to is Wagner Moura. Whereas I think the other 3 films are more auteur focused, and they're competing for the director race, possibly screenplay, so that it can recognize the person behind the camera. But Secret Agent seems to really focus on Wagner Moura, who also was noted at Cannes for his performance. So that's Neon. Now what's left? Who else is still in the race? Before I give you my 5th place spot, let's talk about the other people that I still think about are in like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. People I still actively think about. I would say John M. Chu for Wicked for Good, who I originally had the first time that I did this, before I realized we have to be able to get like Neon's just too strong. And then people saw Hamnet, and it became obvious that Chloe Zhao was getting. So I'm on the fence about it. I don't think he has the body of work to make him as well respected of a director to get in. He feels a little bit like Apple is now trying to push, because Lost Bus is not really going to happen for them. So now the strongest film that they have is F1. So you're starting to see them pop up with FYC screenings for F1. It's not going to happen for Joseph Kosinski either. F1's not going to break into the director race. If he didn't get it for Top Gun Maverick, he's not going to get it for F1. But it does feel like he's closer to it than Paul Greengrass is for The Lost Bus. So I can see why they would do that, because they kind of have a limited slate of titles aiming at Oscars this year. And I do think F1 is more likely to get Oscar nominated in tech categories than Lost Bus is. So I already brought up Yorgos. I think Yorgos he's not completely out of the mix with Begonia, but I could see Begonia getting into picture without Yorgos getting into director. Like, I think Begonia, if it got in, is not a top 5 film, it's a bottom 5 film. And if it does get an acting nomination, it's not going to get both of them. It's not getting both Jesse and Emma. So it's a film that will be lightly nominated, perhaps for like adapted screenplay, maybe something down in the tech categories. It can get like 4 or 5. I think that's kind of where its peak is, but it can do all of that without a directing nomination. So I don't feel the urgency to have him in the category. We also have the Netflix films, right? Of those, I think Guillermo del Toro actually has the strongest chance. I know that's shocking because Frankenstein had like a divisive reaction, but I actually think Frankenstein is their strongest shot at actually getting a Best Picture nomination right now. I think Train Dreams is coming in second, and Del Toro just has a bigger profile than Train Dreams. So I think, and again, he's one of those directors that I said he goes in and he campaigns for other people. He shows up and does other people's panels. He hosts things when he likes films. I could see him this season campaigning for films that aren't his. I could see him absolutely hosting a thing for Sinners and interviewing Ryan Coogler and promoting a film that isn't his and isn't even from the distributor, like the same thing. That feels like his vibe. He feels like when he sees something that he likes, he goes for it. So, and one of the reasons, another reason why I think Del Toro is that he recently did an interview that is trending now, and it's trending in all the good ways. He was asked about the use of AI, and his response was, "I would rather die." So, for all of the people who are worried about AI entering their field, here's somebody who's known for using practical effects, and I think he just won over a lot of votes. Is it enough to get him into the five? I don't think so, but it's enough to say that he's in like a top 10. I think Del Toro is getting enough votes that he gets into a top 10. I think he has perpetual fans who will see and like the things that he does and people who respect him as an auteur. I do. I believe that. So I would put him still sort of adjacent to the race. And I guess if I had to round out the top 10, with anybody, it's got to be the Safdie brother that still remains. It's got to be Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. I think he's the last one that has really a striking distance chance at getting a nomination here. Marty Supreme could boost, it could, we still haven't seen it hit. It could really rise to the occasion, and he could get that sort of auteur vibe, that welcome Matt conversation. That means I didn't pick Josh Safdie for my fifth place. I didn't tell you my fifth place spot was yet, so you're like, oh my god. So a couple of the people that I left off that I don't think are happening. I don't think they're going to give it to James Cameron for the third Avatar film. I think it's too strong of a year, and they can't give it to him for 5 films. It's just not. It's never going to happen. It's not. If there were 5 Wicked movies, nobody would be like, Cynthia Erivo's getting 5 nominations for playing Elphaba. She's transcendent. At some point, they'd be like, listen, that's a lot of Elphaba. It's a lot of Avatar. It's a lot of Godfather to go to 5. It's a lot of anything to go to 5. And to expect people to nominate you every single thing, it's not. He has a better shot of being nominated for Avatar 5 for closing out the franchise years from now than he does for Avatar 3 in the dead middle of the franchise. So I'm going to go with no on James Cameron. Obviously, I think we should eliminate some people whose films are sort of mid, like Benny Safdie for The Smashing Machine. I don't think that's happening. Scott Cooper for Deliver Me From Nowhere. I don't think that's happening. The rest of the Netflix contenders, Catherine Bigelow, Noah Baumbach, Ryan Johnson. I don't think these people are happening either. So we have 2 films out this year by Richard Linklater. He's not going to get a nomination for either of them. So I think I'm trying to go through my head of like what other films, actors, directors are there that could possibly, where somebody would be like, but what about this film? But what about this film? Don't be one of those people who's like, but materialists, Um, no. Yeah, like Luca Guadagnino's After the Hunt is dead in the water for anything other than Julia Roberts at this point. And even that's looking iffy. She's in like Angelina Jolie for Maria territory where she needs like to hit everywhere to get in. Like this needs to be a Julia Roberts season. We'll see. The people who reviewed her and said it's her best performance since Erin Brockovich, all those people need to have voting power and remember that they said it was her best performance since Erin Brockovich. And between Erin Brockovich and After the Hunt, she was nominated for an Academy Award. So Um, yeah, I don't think that I don't think I'm really missing anybody else. I've seen some people pick up Zach Kreger for Weapons, and I just giggle. I'm like, come on now. Now it's fun to play around with Amy Madigan for supporting actress, but to say Zach Kreger is going to get into Best Director, it's like, have you seen the other nominees he's up against? He's not getting into director. He's not getting into director. I know we're trying to make horror happen a little bit more, and it'd be nice because we'd have Sinners and we have Frankenstein. Like, you already have two horror films this year that are going to get nominated. At least, bare minimum, Frankenstein is getting craft nominations. It's not walking away with zero. Sinners is also not walking away with zero nominations. They could both miss out on picture, and they're absolutely getting nominated at the Oscars. So, and they have potential to get acting nominations. You have Michael B. Jordan from Sinners, you have Delroy Lindo, you have Jacob Elordi from Frankenstein. So we already have some horror things in the mix. I guess you could say Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is kind of adjacent to that. It was at Fantastic Fest, so it knows its audience. Um, and I don't think Madigan is a complete like wild card nomination either for Weapons, but it does feel like we're stretching that we're like, well, we give it to Demi Moore, so why not? Um, Madigan's been nominated before, so the narrative is different. It's changed. So no, not Zach Kreger. I think I've covered everybody. If I haven't, I'm sorry. I don't. I feel like I could just keep listing people. Obviously, Ronan Day Lewis is not getting nominated for Anemone. No one is. Um, if I forgot something, I'm sorry. It's not getting nominated. So my fifth place spot was not my fifth place spot originally. Like I said, I did have John M. Chu in my fifth place spot, and I also like largely thinking about Park Chan Wook. But there was something because I do listen to other people, and while I disagree with Jeff Snyder about his assessment that PTA can't win because it's not his best film, I think he needs to have a hard look at what like who has won for what, and then ask himself, was that their best work? Was that even the best work of the year? Because there are plenty of times where we look at something and we go, I don't even know if that was the best performance or best director of the year or best film of the year. It's certainly not that person's best direction. Wasn't at the time, still isn't today. I mean, wasn't their best performance at the time, still isn't today. So, yeah, 11 nominations is a lot for PTA, but I do think that there's something to be said for Ryan Coogler. He's also never been nominated in this category, which I knew, but it didn't really bother me until somebody pointed out. He pointed out. I don't lie when I get these ideas. I tell you where I got them from. That no black director has ever won in this category, which seems shocking to me. That's that actual statistic. That with all of the auteurs that we've had over the years, that none of them have won this category. Yeah, Spike Lee has he has a win in screenplay, and he has an honorary Oscar, but he's never actually won Best Director. Steve McQueen didn't win for 12 Years a Slave, famously. It was split that year where it won picture, and then Alfonso Cuarón won for Gravity. So, yeah, surprisingly, yeah, Moonlight, same thing. Moonlight didn't win both categories that year. Barry Jenkins didn't win for Moonlight. So, I guess, it's there. Now, do I think he can win? No, but do I think that that kind of conversation will fuel him a little bit more towards locking in that fifth place spot? I didn't think he was like, it's not like trying to pick somebody who's like kind of out of the race and being like, oh, he's not, but like Scott Cooper's black, so that means he's going to get a nomination for Deliver Me from Nowhere. I'd be like, well, that's not happening. I'm sorry. It's still not happening. Um, it's some things are just like it's obvious. It's just not going to become a thing. Like Bradley Cooper, I know some people who really love his Is This Thing On? I just don't think he's going to be able to leapfrog everything else that's happening here. Even if This Thing On gets an Oscar nomination somewhere, I don't think it's gonna be for Bradley Cooper for direction. So some of these things just don't really line up. But I would have put Coogler anyway. Originally, I didn't have him in my top five, but I would have had him in like sixth or seventh. Like he was just outside the top five, so it makes it an easy swap for me to go. Yeah, I think that's enough to bump him into the John M. Chu. I think Sinners has done a lot at the box office. I didn't feel like John M. Chu was a lock, but I did feel like he does have the help of the fact that he was nominated and did win some for part one, and this is part two, so it's the last chance that they have to nominate him. Um, I don't think anybody else is vulnerable. We nominate too many international actors that I don't think we're gonna knock. They're gonna they're gonna take two spots. This is a great year for international film. So I don't know who else would be vulnerable. I don't think we're gonna give up the female slot for Chloe Zhao, and I don't see a world where Paul Thomas Anderson isn't nominated. So that's why I have the top two as a lock, and then I have two international directors from Neon, which I agree are interchangeable, and then I just think it's the fifth place spot that's up for consideration. And so for me, it's like, is it Ryan Coogler or is it John M. Chu? And I'm leaning on with Ryan Coogler right now. So, but then the other case is, did I pick the right two Neon directors for international? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Those are my five: PTA, Chloe, Joaquin, Jafar, and Ryan. We're all on first name basis here. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.